something like 20 plus applications back from responses to the survey from schools in North Carolina expressing a desire to be part of this. And in most places we were getting maybe 5 to 10 at the most, and we just got this flood from North Carolina, and we said, what the heck is going on there? And well, what we realized really quickly was, you know, there's some really great visionary leadership here in the state on behalf of the community colleges, and we're really lucky to have with us here today Dr. Rusty Stevens, one of those leaders, one of the key leaders of the Code Green initiative. And he's going to talk more about that, but it's been a real privilege and pleasure to work with him, and just, well, you'll see, his visionary leadership has been really exciting. So, Dr. Stevens, you want to tell us more about the Code Green initiative?
Lisa, thank you. Good morning. Good morning. It is good to see you. Good to see you. A couple of colleagues are going to help us, Kelly and Claudine are going to hand out my only handout, which is a written version of the slide you see. And you can, if you wish, go to the webpage at Wilson Community College and download these slides. I do believe that we're going to also see a more comprehensive release from these folks, but a couple of people with the right technology in my last presentation said, can I download the slides and try to follow you? I said, good luck. So we're going to see how this works. Thank you. We have come to an extraordinary time. Lest you have not realized it yet, and being community college people and the smart folks you are, I suspect you already realize it. We're at a crossroads in human history. We're at a time like no other time in human history. The fossil record tells us this. The stupidity index tells us this. All the things that are going on tell us we've come to one of those times where humanity is in the process, literally, of redefining itself. Metaphor for that redefinition, I believe, is sustainability. We've also come to one of those zags in a zigzag tortured path that humanity seems to need from time to time, and I would characterize the zag as denial ain't just a river in Egypt. So I'm going to do some basic stuff. I'm going to take you back to some studies. I'll quote links. I will give you some examples. I will not slow down and let you copy them, which is why if you want to download my slides, that's where the information is, including some resources. What I want to talk about, first of all, is raison d'etre. What is it that brought us here? And we only have to go back a very few pages to find out that we've had a change. I believe the change is literally from consumerism to sustainability. And on the ground, in my humble opinion, is one of the absolute key ingredients. There's karma here. The universe put us here so that community colleges can be student, object, laboratory, practitioner, partner in what in reality is a net new discipline. It's an umbrella text. It is nothing less than a future. I want to talk about a future because some of the things I'm going to say may disturb you. But here's where we're going, folks. We're going to a toxic-free environment. 50,000 chemicals loose in our environment. We're going to find a way to get rid of them. We're going to an abundant, very, very, very cheap energy supply. Imagine, just take for a moment and imagine every hamlet and hut where energy is virtually abundant and virtually free. It will change the way we think of ourselves. Genus Homo will not be the same going forward that we think we are now. Folks, the future is so bright we're all going to need shades. We've got to figure out how to get there. You must become a student of this new discipline. And I'm going to give you the intro to my graduate course in sustainability. If you have not read this book, I'm assigning it to you. Every president has in their contract the capacity to assign readings. If you haven't read Lester Brown, you remain uneducated in our society. Get this book and read it. Mr. Brown told us 40 years ago we would be where we are today. 40 years ago. Plan B 4.0 is one of his most recent updates over that long period of time. He basically says the entire economy and the way we're treating the earth is a giant Ponzi scheme. We have what we think are good returns, but we're eating our seed corn. And he lists such things as food security, overfishing, overpumping, overgrazing, overplowing, and of course loading the environment with carbon. All of these are still going on. They haven't stopped, even though a bill was introduced in the legislature in North Carolina 2 weeks ago to rescind completely the sustainable portfolio of 4 years ago that has begun to move us forward. We think it won't. go, but there are folks that are saying, all we have to really do is put a target on the chest of these messengers and get rid of them. The earth is not simply going to say, you shot the messenger, therefore the problem goes away. I don't want to be extremely derisive of our colleagues who don't get it because they're afraid. And let's remember what happens when you're afraid. You start trying to retreat. You start trying to fix it in a very narrow, reverse way. That's why community colleges are so important, because we can help people understand we can't go back. The only back is to the future. That's why Lester Brown's book is so important. It's common text. The other thing you've got to do is begin to watch the technology. It is changing so fast, so very, very fast, that all the assumptions you hear in the current media are now wrong. They're absolutely flawed. I'm going to give you 2 examples. One of the places I like to go to watch technology is a thing called the Climate Post. When I download my slides, the link is there. It's from Duke University. And I have the great advantage, guys, of coming from out of state. I don't care about that damn basketball game. The other thing I want you to know is there is a homegrown technology watch that on your campus can make a huge difference. Have your librarian call our librarian, and they will give them a search strategy. Every week I get 12 to 18 one-liners with a link. Here's what this is about. Some days I open 2. Some weeks I go back to them weeks later. The technology, however, has already overtaken all of our basic assumptions about who we are and what we are, and here's the classic example. Solar power is on the verge of becoming cheaper than coal. It's very, very close. It's not 2050, it's not 2030. It's very, very close. When this happens, every assumption we make about energy, every assumption we make about what we teach, every assumption we make about the jobs that we're here to talk about will change. It is possible, if we don't manage this change, that the coal industry could collapse faster than we can retrain. We're at a time of extraordinary, accelerating change. Here's how it's happening. On the left, the person is holding the new silicone chip. On the right, they're holding the old one. The new one is melted and molded. That's the breakthrough. They can make it super thin. They can make it super uniform. It's going to bring the cost of the PV, today's PV, down 40% at retail. They expect to be in production in 18 months. When that happens, with scale up, it is predictable that the power from PVs will cost less than the power from coal. You will be able to give choices to people when you build a house or when you retrofit a house. Where do you want your power from? You want it to come from that pole? Anybody in this room under 40, that is not a natural formation. They didn't just grow there. We can take them down, and we're going to take them down. We need a smart grid for about 10 years. Then we're going to go to something called distributed power. The other thing you need to know is last summer, based on the study by Dr. Blackburn, Emeritus Chair of the Department of Economics, again at that Blue University, they showed that future nuclear, no matter how you cut it, in North Carolina would cost more than future solar. July 10, the curves crossed. Why in the world are we thinking and talking about building additional nuclear plants? The reason is, if you're on the inside, you're extraordinarily profitable. 20% of the nuclear reactors, I'm going to try to frighten you, and then I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be frightened. 20% of the nuclear reactors are in active seismic zones. Of the roughly 400. It is not, however, the seismic plate shift on the planet that we're really experiencing. It's the psychic seismic shift as we watch that unfolding extraordinary disaster in Japan that parallels exactly the one we watched at the bottom of the Gulf. They're connected so that we're seeing the old technology literally spew out and kill us. We don't have to do that anymore. We no longer need those things because the economics have also changed. The reason I want to show you this is because we need to understand that in my yellow pin there was 2.9 on the Richter scale earthquake in North Carolina on the South Carolina line 2 weeks after the one in Japan. The chart on the left shows you the distance to the nuclear reactors in and around that quake zone. 2.9, folks, is not a big quake. It might stir your coffee. But remember, the Richter scale is geometrically cumulative. The next one is twice as much. The next one is twice as much. The fact that this happened 2 weeks after that first one, there's probably no connection, right? If you're buying that, start doing some homework. The plates are all connected. The Earth is all connected. However, here's the point. This is one of the greatest scams in history. Because we're getting concerned about nuclear reactors, and we're fighting over how the American industry can clean this one up one more time and go forward. The real scam is we're arguing over something we don't need to argue over. We do not need more plants. We do not need more coal plants. We do not need more gas-fired plants. It is a bridge, and a very short bridge. What we need to do is what we're here to do today, and build the infrastructure of the sustainable revolution and begin to find places where people are ready for those jobs. The way we have to talk about it, a lot of our colleagues default to the economy. Almost any conversation you're in, it goes to the economic lens. It doesn't go to the human survival lens and a wonderful future so bright we're going to need shades. It goes to, but wait a minute, it's the economy. If it's the economy, folks, it is still. I'm paraphrasing Bill Clinton and folks. Sustainability, however, in many people's lives and many people's imagination equals energy, equals dollars. Okay, that's what we have to do to help people too. If you haven't seen the picture of this from the street level, this is the Empire State Building. The Empire State Building Green Project has started. It's in the design phase. Projections indicate a 40% reduction in BTU per square foot of that building when they're through. Return on investment in less than 5 years of somewhere around $5 million in today's dollars for the 30-year life of the project. Retrofit can happen so fast and create so many jobs. In your home, the company that is doing retrofit in Wilson under AARA, I talked to Reggie Spade, he runs it. Wilson is contracted to Martin County. And I said, Reggie, I'm going to quote you. When you do your BTU analysis and you get through, you go in a day or less, and you come out, what's the change? He said 30 to 40% reduction in the average dwelling that they work in. Folks, that's the low-hanging fruit. You don't even take the family out to get that. Imagine the job. Some of those are, take this master kid and crawl up under this house. You're going to have to be able to read. Some of them are pretty advanced stuff, energy auditor. Some of them are environmental engineering. The whole spectrum of what community colleges teach or get people ready to take courses in, it has to do with retrofit of the built environment. We can if we want to. Weatherize in 3 acts. First of all, low-hanging fruit. Secondly, go back again with some grants and some money and do big stuff. Refrigerator, HVAC. When you go back the 3rd time, you'll be looking at a house that's 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% down in BTU per square foot, and renewables can close the gap. You will have a house that should be able to produce more energy than it's using. There are 100 million buildings in this country. How many jobs do we need? By the way, how many of those buildings need weatherizing? 100 million.